Hey guys, so I wanted to talk a little bit more about intuition today, and specifically those times when you go to ask your intuition something and it feels like you don't get an answer. Lately, that's kind of what I've been experiencing more and more is, one, the intuition starts to get really subtle. Like as it starts to develop, at first it may be you ask a question and you're not really sensitive to your intuition, and so you need it to practically beat you over the head with its answer, you know, to make it really obvious what's my intuition and what's not, what's just my mind or something else. Um, and so at first you kind of need really gross, really big answers. And then over time, as you start getting better and better, it starts giving you kind of smaller and smaller answers, and it starts getting more subtle, and it can be harder to tell, which is why it's helpful to actually practice feeling what does it feel like when my intuition is responding as opposed to something else. And then there will also, it seems, for whatever reason, there's times when you ask a question and you don't get an answer from your intuition. And this can actually bring up a lot of fear. And what I've found is, for me, a lot of times when I need to make a decision, a lot of the decisions are fundamentally rooted in fear. It's like, okay, I need to make a decision. Should I go this way or should I go that way? Should I talk to this person? Should I be in this lane of traffic? Should I do this with my life? Should I go there? Whatever it is, any decision I need to make, underlying every decision, there's a sense of, if I make a mistake, if I do it wrong, if I pick the wrong choice, something bad is going to happen, whether I don't meet the person I want to meet, or I get hurt, or I die, or my car breaks down, or whatever it is. It's like I need to make the right choice. And so it's like all of the decisions are rooted in fear, and so you may get into like, okay, I need to ask my guides, I need to ask my angels, I need to muscle test or douse with the pendulum, or I need to ask my intuition. It's like, or I need to think about this really hard. It's all of these ways we have of making decisions that are based in fear. It's like, I need to know the right way, the best way, what's in the highest good, so that I can do the best job I can. And one of the things I find is, I kind of start to lean on my intuition to give me answers on what to do with my life and where to go. And then there's times when you ask your intuition and you just don't get an answer. And if your intuition, or whatever else it is for you, your source of information, if it feels like you get cut off from that, it can be pretty scary. Because that's like your security blanket. And what I've been finding is, if you can actually develop a willingness to not need direction, if you can just be okay just flowing without having a thought about where you're going, without needing to decide anything really, you just flow. It's like almost like your mind turns off and you just go without knowing ahead of time where you're going to go or what you're going to do or what you're going to say. It's just totally flow. It's kind of like being in the dark. And, you can be scared of the dark if you think there's like a boogeyman out there who's going to get you, or the monster under the bed or whatever. If you're in the dark, it's totally fine. There's really nothing there. If you start flailing around and thinking there's something wrong with the darkness, yeah, then you'll start experiencing kind of, anxiety and all. But if you can just sit in the darkness, sit in the not knowing, sit in not having a clue, just sit in the unknown and be okay with that. And just kind of rest in the stillness and the silence without all the freaking out stuff. There's this amazing sense of peace and calm that just kind of arises naturally. It's like, oh, it's okay for me not to know. It's okay for me to just act and do what feels natural without having like a sense of direction all the time. Sometimes, of course, it's very useful to have a sense of direction. And then other times, for whatever reason, it seems it's really useful to just flow. It's not black and white. It's not always this way or always that way. It's useful to kind of have a number of different ways of acting, of being in the world. And so developing a sense of, also dropping the idea that if I don't get an answer from my intuition, then something is wrong. This idea that there's something wrong with life that needs to be fixed or corrected or broken, or it needs to be fixed because it's broken. It's like, if you can drop the idea altogether that there's ever anything wrong, and say, okay, life is operating the way it is. I understand that there's a purpose to everything, that everything is being divinely orchestrated. everything is amazing the way it's unfolding. I may not see yet, I may not understand yet why things are happening the way they are, but I understand that everything is happening for a reason. It's happening for your highest good. And if I'm not getting an answer from my intuition, perhaps right now I'm not meant to be getting an answer. Right now I'm meant to just sit and be quiet and relax and take it easy. And when it's time to take action, then the inspiration and the insights will arise. If it's necessary for me to just flow and walk down the street, I'll do that. It's just, there's a sense of like water when it's flowing down a river. It doesn't decide, am I going to go left, am I going to go right? It's not a logical choice. It's not even an intuitive thing. It's just totally flowing without a second thought or even a first. It just flows. And there's this ability for us to do the same thing. And it's really quite amazing to just let go and flow. It's very enjoyable. And then let's say you walk down the street and you look over and you see the place you want to go, or a nice restaurant, or a person to talk to, whatever. It's then the intuition may kick in, But it's like there's a willingness to just flow through life and experience life and just be in the moment totally without some of the former security blankets of that kind of baby your fears, basically, to just let go and live. And so what I found is, those times when your intuition shuts off, it doesn't mean that there's a problem, that there's something wrong. It's just, okay, the intuition is off. Okay. It doesn't really mean anything. It's not bad. There's nothing broken. It's not a mistake. It's just, okay. And there's this sense of relaxation and stillness and peacefulness in that.